hayi mina ishona duzane lami hayi angilithandi mangama ngifuna ukukhuluma manga ishona hayi angilithandi vele ishona.
Hi guys, I'm back again. So Zimbabwe is on the verge of yet another division. So most of you know Zimbabwe is a Southern African country. It is a very diverse country, rich in minerals, very rich. I mean, it has its history with the white settlers. It has its history domestically with its tribes and ethnic groups within the country. As you know, that the main or the largest group of people is called the Shona group, or the Shona ethnic group, or the Shona clan. So the Shona people migrated into this area centuries ago, and they were migrating through what they called the Bantu migration from North Africa. Just like any other ancient civilization, they had to establish a dynasty, and they formed a kingdom called the Mutapa Kingdom, which stretched from modern day Mozambique, the southern part of Zambia, near the Zambezi, Botswana, the western areas, and the southern part of Malawi. So this was a biggest kingdom that was ever created in African history, and its influence was even bigger than the Nigeria's Jaja of Opobo. You can just imagine how big and influential this kingdom was. So later on we saw that it wasn't only the Shona people who settled in this area. Later on we saw different migrations that were happening within the area. So down south, modern day South Africa, a unique dynasty was built, which was called the Zulu Nation. This was headed by Chaga, or Shaga, according to our history books. Now, Chaga's dream was to consolidate all small clans into one tribe or into one kingdom run by the Zulu people. So basically the idea of a united Africa was actually a Zulu idea in essence. You see that the idea was that every small group was orderless. We need one head, one king with power who can run the kingdom. However, here comes another general, General Mthwakazi. Mthwakazi was the most trusted general of Chaga, and his clan was called the Kumalo clan. This clan resided a stone throw away from the Zulu kingdom, so they entered a protection deal. So basically Mthwakazi was a great general. He was a very good general with prowess and acumen in military warfare and all. So he used to go out to raid small villages and take their cattle, their wives and children. Now the Kumalo clan was now part of the tribes of the Zulu kingdom, of course, until one time when Mthwakazi went on a certain mission and he did not declare the cattle that he had raided from a small kingdom. Now, due to the fear of retribution from Shaga, Mthwakazi and his clan fled out of the kingdom. So when Mthwakazi was fleeing from Chaga's wrath, he also raided small villages along the way as he moved north and west. But doing so, he wasn't only the one running. This season was called Mthwakazination season, where a lot of groups were fearing the wrath of Chaga. So they ended up having to raid small groups until they became a big group. So along the way, they adopted a Soto Tswana name for people who used the long shields called Matabele, thereby naming themselves the Ndebele people. So Mthwakazi settled down in Transvaal, modern day South Africa, where they thrived raiding villages and herding cattle. So this short period of success didn't last long until they were defeated by a Dutch-speaking settlers group called Voortrekkers in 1830, or in the 1830s. They had a series of battles and they lost, which then forced the Mthwakazi to move further north, and this is when they clashed with the Shona people in what now is called Zimbabwe. But there's something interesting though. According to oral history, especially the Ndebele people say, Shona was a name given for the hiding in caves of Shona people when the Matabele people came to raid them. So instead of facing them, they used to hide in caves. And I always say this actually exemplifies the way the Shona people are scattered all over the world. They don't like facing their problems. I guess it's the only logical sense. I'm joking anyway. So we are seeing two people, some from the Nguni tribes and some from the Bantu tribe. So we are seeing people coming through to live in one land. What do you expect? The Ndebele clan used to raid the Shona tribe. They took their wives, they took their children, they took their cattle, and they settled in areas now called the Matabeleland areas. And these were named by the white settlers anyways. But according to some manuscripts, they say this land used to be called Mthwakazi. It was a kingdom. So in essence, Shona people were not militarily strong. They were weak when it comes to military. And Mthwakazi Ndebele Ran clan was very tactful and very strong. And the Shona people were mainly business people. They liked to trade. They're just mere traders. They didn't do much when it comes to warfare. So they learned to have their own side, and the Ndebele kingdom thrived on their own. Now, enough of history. Let us talk about the now. Why is Zimbabwe so divided and we have these tribal wars happening that is also affecting the need to remove the main government in place? Fast forward to the time when Zimbabwe got its independence. The Shona and the Ndebele people fought side by side during the war with white settlers. Now, ZAPU was a party that was formed by the Ndebele people, and they had their military wing called Zipra. Then ZANU was also formed by the Shona people, and they had their military wing called the Zanla forces. But soon after the war, when there were negotiations with the white minority groups, Robert Mugabe went on a spree in a series of murders, mass murders, which was in Matabeleland areas and Midlands areas. This was called Kukurahundi. It is one of the bloodiest genocides ever after the Rwandan genocide. Thousands upon thousands, children, mothers, and old people were unalived by a militia group called the 5th Brigade, and this was the worst atrocity ever committed by an African government, obviously, other than the Rwandan genocide. So after that, we got into the whole period of unity. We said, okay, let bygones be bygones. We have fought, we have murdered, we have done the worst things, but hey, let us bring the two nations, the Ndebele or the Mthwakazi kingdom and the Shona or the Mtapa kingdom, into one, and we shall call it Zimbabwe. So this happened, but as you know, peace is not just a mere rhetoric. It's not just a thing that you say verbally. So there was no rehabilitation in these regions. There was no justice or peaceful justice that was served to the people, and these people became isolated, and many of them became stateless because they didn't know really where to belong. Are they really Zimbabwean? Do they feel Zimbabwean, or do they feel otherwise? Because of lack of justice, the people became isolated. Many fled to neighboring countries in search of greener pastures. And due to the lengthy period of suffering and isolation, we are talking about a region that was not really feeling its identity and feeling its traditional belonging to the land, because a new force was now in place and ruling over them. So after a lengthy period of isolation, a new group of Ndebele residents rose up to go on a mission that is somewhat considered by many as futile or a pie in the sky. This group is called Mthwakazi. Now, this group wants to divide Zimbabwe into two countries, Zimbabwe and Mthwakazi. It was launched 10 years ago, and their message is very clear. They want Zimbabwe to remain as Zimbabwe with Shona people, and the rest of us, the rest of them on the other end. And this was launched 10 years ago, but their message and membership is growing faster than any political party, and they're becoming quite popular among their followers.
Matabeleland is endowed with all the natural resources that you can think of: gold, methane gas, lithium, copper, and everything. But all these resources are not sustaining the people of Matabeleland and Mikens. Instead, they are the ones that are used to develop Mashonaland at the expense of people of Matabeleland.
Now, why is this group so resolute about their views? Here's the link. There was an agreement by Sir Star Jameson that he did with King Lobengula, who was the successor of Mthwakazi, the one we talked about. So the agreement stated that there has to be a border at Munyati River, another in Ramakwebane with Botswana, and another in Limpopo, South Africa. So Mthwakazi party wants to accommodate these groups: Tonga, Swazi, Coloureds, Soto, Chinyambia, Venda, Ndebele, Kalanga, Lozwi, I think the English as well, and among others, I think with the Chewas and all. So in 2020, the party obtained 20,000 signatures. Actually, they said it wanted to obtain 20,000 signatures to petition the government, neighboring countries, the British government, and the Queen of England to restore Mthwakazi Kingdom. Now, Mkondisi Moyo, who is actually the leader of this group, the president of the party, say that the idea comes from the UN resolution that says minority groups should have right to self-determination and autonomy, especially if their human rights are being denied or they're being oppressed by larger ethnic groups, and in this case the Shona people. So these people have been activists on the ground, they've been vocal on the ground, and now social media and TikTok, especially on TikTok, these individuals will launch live shows sharing their anti-Shona rhetoric, and often expressed with anger and resentment towards the Shona people.
The problem is Zimbabwe. Problem is Zimbabwe. Problem is Zimbabwe. Lishona is the main problem. You guys all along, I just listen to your charts here and read them. But I problem Lishona. Ungafaki Shona kuzifa problem. Ungafaki ishona kusitikanzeo problem. Ungafaki ishona emfeni. Abantu kwawatori ukudla kunapha. Liyachonja. Ishona li problem. Mina ngilishona 100%. But ishona I problem. Nake ngangena ku group lethu ayidimbare what. Ngabatshela uthi no, you guys you cannot run anything. City kanze you drink ikaka. In Blawa, yes, we've got our own problems of water, but we don't drink kaka. So the problem is Zimbabwe lishona. That's when we can start tackling the problem. To do away with a person called a Shona to lead in any organization, it's a master mistake.
I mean Shona tuzane lami hayi angilithandi mangama ngifuna ukukhuluma manga ishona hayi angilithandi vele ishona.
This group is not just shying away, they're making memes, they're making fun out of Shona people, they're even cursing Shona people. They're saying Shona people are the worst people on earth, that they don't like Shona people. But the main argument they have is that the Shona people are benefiting from ZANU-PF's rule. Now the question is it true that they're benefiting? Obviously not. It is just an excuse to see that their agenda is pushed forward. You see, when politicians are engaging in public debates or public conversations or dialogues, they would try by all means to rope in identity, because everything centers around identity. I can give you an example. Donald Trump won because his ideas were resonating with the white majority in America. So when you say things like there is a white genocide, for example, you are already trying to get the attention of the white people, they'll think, oh, it's about to happen, because what is happening actually is a psychological operation. When I tell you that the color of your skin is different from other kids, the first thing you hear in your head is, so I'm treated different than others. So even if a person tells you a joke or something that you consider as racist, you think it's actually true, because your subconscious is already telling you that it's happening and I am different. So these people are not just mere people. They are thinking the process. They know that the vulnerability of people in Matabeleland can be used against their Shona counterparts. So with that, they want to gain power and political influence. The honest truth is they don't want to point at ZANU-PF as the culprit. You know why? Because if they point at ZANU-PF as a culprit, the idea does not hold water to that area they want specifically. They want the area that is so desperate to feel different. They want to convince someone that you are in a certain position due to your identity. But the question is, did ZANU-PF cause the suffering of Ndebele people? Definitely. We don't want to deny it. But were the Shona people in support or part of the genocide? I can tell you this: none of people I know, and definitely myself, I had nothing to do with Shona people or the certain individuals that came after the Ndebele people during the genocide. This is nothing to do with Shona people. It is Mugabe's administration that committed these atrocities. And mind you, this administration murdered a lot of Shona people in broad daylight. Remember, we have a lot of things that we as a society can fight for: freedom, equality. And I don't see myself as a beneficiary of any system. I got deprived a chance to live in a prosperous society due to ZANU-PF. I don't blame another citizen for that. I blame ZANU-PF. So Mthwakazi is thriving on the pain of innocent people. Matabeleland wants justice. These people from Matabeleland want justice, and so do we as Shona people. Many people were killed and unalived in many areas in Zimbabwe, and you have never heard of a Shona person blaming any other tribe, but they blame the government. We didn't go to special school. I didn't go to a special school because I'm Shona. I didn't graduate in a special university. I actually graduated with the Ndebele people. Same university, same curriculum, same whatever. I make efforts to learn Ndebele. I do. And I understand if you are Ndebele and you feel like you've got some certain disadvantage or privilege that you think I got, I didn't. And so many Shona people share the same sentiments. We didn't get grants or scholarships from the government in Mashonaland. But your pain is not trivial. I sympathize with you. And I understand your frustration. I understand your resentment towards the government or towards the Shona people. But if it is merely towards the Shona people, it's misguided and misplaced. I have nothing but respect and sympathy for you all. You have been through a lot. But before you start to use your anger to address your problem, trust me, we will bicker and talk about it the wrong way. The better future is that we all agree, Shona, Ndebele, Kalanga, that this is not anything to do with Shona and Ndebele. It is a system that is subjecting us through this. It's time to end this bickering. It's time to build a country that we're all proud of. I have people I call family, and they're from Ndebele clans and then from Ndebele tribes. I call them family because they are family to me. It's nothing to do with your cliques. We are willing to do it, but the system did not allow us to reach out. The system did not allow us to know Ndebele people better because it distanced us, and you thought it's resentment. And I know many Shona people would come and say things that are rude or crude against you. But that doesn't represent the Shona minds. That doesn't represent the Shona people. It's time we understand we have one common goal. It is to unite against the common enemy.